Hey guys, it's Andy. Thank y'all for coming back and watching episode 2 from What I've Learned. So today I'd like to talk about the nitrogen cycle. This is kind of day one type stuff for a lot of people who've been in the hobby for a long time, but there are a lot of people who have never had to set up a tank, never have done the process before and have no idea what it is. So hopefully this will prevent people from going out and buying a tank and setting it up and putting fish in it the same day. In order for a fish tank to break down waste properly, certain things have to happen. There has to be certain different types of bacteria that live inside the tank that will break down the ammonia, turn the ammonia to nitrite, and the nitrite to nitrate, and then other bacteria will turn the nitrate back into oxygen pretty much. So I'm going to try to explain how that happens and how you can make it happen, and to help it along, and also to monitor it to make sure that your biological filter stays intact and everything stays alive and your tank doesn't get recycled. Okay, so I guess a good place to start would be, let's go ahead and have a fish tank. And let's set it up. You know, your lights are on, you have water in it, your sand or your gravel, everything is ready to go. Well, do not go out directly and get fish for the fish tank, because that's not going to be a good idea, because your tank needs to cycle first. So what I do to my tanks, my personal tanks or any of my client tanks that are brand new, I'll take some fish food or a small piece of shrimp from Kroger or Whole Foods or whatever, and I will go ahead and throw that in the tank first off. Boom. And what that will do, it'll break down. Even though the biological filter is not set up, that it will fuel the biological filter to start and go through the process. So the first thing that we can actually read, and when it comes to really pollution, when it comes to leftover food or dead fish or anything like that, it's going to be ammonia. So once that food starts to break down, it will register as ammonia in the water column. So you do your water test and you see your ammonia is going to spike, and your nitrite is going to be at 0, and your nitrate is going to be pretty much at 0. The next thing will happen after the ammonia is spiked, you'll have a bacterial bloom in the tank. Sometimes this turns a tank kind of cloudy, white, kind of smoky looking, but just leave it alone. It's perfectly normal and it will go away all by itself. So once that bacteria is born into the tank, it'll actually eat that ammonia and turn it into nitrite. Now, after it turns into nitrite, which by the way, from what I've read, the nitrite is the most toxic of basically the big three: your ammonia, your nitrite, and your nitrate. Ammonia is it is toxic at high levels, but nitrite, even at low levels, can be pretty toxic to your tank. So you don't want any fish in there during this process, because nitrite is toxic to fish. And then the nitrite is there, and another bacteria will be born into the tank, and it will eat the nitrite and turn it into nitrate. So during a nitrogen cycle in a fish tank, first you will have an ammonia spike, you'll have a bacterial bloom, then you'll have a nitrite spike, your ammonia spike will go down, and then another bacteria will be born to eat the nitrite, turn it into nitrate, so your nitrite will go down, and then your nitrate will go up. If you do it right, and I've done this several times, you know, my goal is around 5 or 10 nitrate, 0 ammonia, and 0 nitrite. Once I've gotten to that point, that's when your tank is ready to have livestock added to it, because you have all parts of the nitrogen cycle that have happened. You have all the different types of bacteria in the tank, and that's really what's needed to give your fish a healthy home. And as long as you don't overstock and overfeed, your ammonia levels should stay right around 0. Your nitrite level should not go back up ever, and your nitrate level, you know, between 5 and 20 is considered pretty safe. But I like to keep mine closest to 5 as possible. Let's say that you already have gotten your tank and you've already gotten your fish, and you're just now seeing this video and like, oh, okay, so what do I do now? I've already done all the stuff you said not to do. So what you need to do is go to the store and get some prime. Anybody in this hobby swears by this stuff. It's fantastic. It detoxifies your ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. So even though it doesn't get rid of it out of the water column, it will make it less toxic or non-toxic to the fish or any kind of animals you have in the tank. So you want to dose this once a day, and I would say I would dose twice the recommended dosage on the bottle, and that will keep your ammonia, the toxic ammonia, your toxic nitrite, and your toxic nitrate low enough to where it doesn't stress out your fish and kill them. So another thing you can do, you can add different products. API has a product, Seachem has a product. I think pretty much every manufacturer has a product. Seed, Stability, Quick Start, and basically what that stuff is basically bacteria that's in a bottle, and it's supposed to be the same type of bacteria that breaks down the ammonia to nitrite, which you most definitely need, and also nitrite to nitrate, which do not forget that's very important. I'd also like to touch on how much patience is needed in this hobby, whether if you're growing plants, breeding fish, growing corals. All this stuff is a slow process. So setting up a tank to do that kind of stuff in is a slow process as well. You really want to exercise patience. If you don't have patience, there's a lot of those products I was talking about earlier that can kind of quick start your tank. But the best thing to do is, you can use that stuff if you'd like to, but along with that, spend the time. Let your ammonia spike, let it go down, let your nitrite spike, let it go down, let your nitrate spike, do a little bit of a water change, and then add your fish. I've seen this process take a week. I've also seen it take 3 months, so each tank's going to be different. The most important thing is this hobby is about the wildlife, it's about the fish, it's about nature. So let's do it right, and let's keep our animals happy, let's keep them healthy, let's give them a good home. That way we can all enjoy the hobby.